Evolution does not work from a perfect blueprint. It experiments. And across hundreds of millions of years, some of those experiments produced animals so bizarre that even scientists struggled to understand what they were looking at. One had 5 eyes and a claw at the end of its face. Another was reconstructed upside down for decades. There was a marine reptile with a hammer-shaped mouth, a shark relative with an anvil on its back, and a gliding reptile whose wings stretched mainly between its legs. These were not creatures from mythology. They were real animals from worlds that vanished long before our own. Today we are uncovering 8 prehistoric creatures that looked completely impossible, and the deeper we go, the stranger evolution becomes. More than 500 million years ago, the Cambrian oceans were filled with animals unlike anything alive today. But even there, Opabinia stood out. It was only a few centimeters long, yet its body looked as though several unrelated creatures had been joined together. Opabinia had a soft, segmented body with swimming flaps along its sides. Above its head were 5 eyes, and extending from the front was a long, flexible proboscis ending in a claw-like structure. When scientists first presented a reconstruction of Opabinia, members of the audience reportedly laughed. But the animal was no joke. It probably swam just above the seafloor, using its strange appendage to search through sediment and collect food. Its 5 eyes may have helped it scan the water for predators. And despite its alien appearance, Opabinia lived close to the evolutionary branch that eventually produced insects, spiders, crabs, and other arthropods. One of the strangest animals ever discovered may have stood near the beginning of one of evolution's greatest success stories. If Opabinia looked like an experiment, Hallucigenia looked like a mistake. Its fossils were so confusing that scientists originally reconstructed the entire animal upside down. The long spines on its back were mistaken for legs. Its real legs were believed to be tentacles. Even its head was confused with its tail. For years, illustrations showed Hallucigenia awkwardly walking across the ocean floor on rigid spikes. Then better fossils revealed the truth. The spikes were defensive armor. Underneath the body were 7 pairs of soft legs tipped with claws. At the front was a small head with simple eyes and a mouth lined with tiny teeth. Hallucigenia lived around 508 million years ago and probably crawled slowly across the seafloor while its spines protected it from predators. Its greatest trick, however, happened long after it died. It confused the species studying it so completely that we placed it upside down, backwards, and on the wrong legs. Around 300 million years ago, a bizarre animal swam through the coastal waters covering what is now Illinois. Today we call it the Tully monster. Its body was soft and narrow, with a tail fin at the rear. A rigid bar stretched across its head, with an eye positioned at either end, and from the front of its body extended a long proboscis ending in a small mouth armed with pointed structures. It looked like a fish, squid, and mechanical grabber combined into one creature. Thousands of Tully monster fossils have been discovered. Yet scientists still cannot agree on what kind of animal it actually was. Some researchers believe it may have been related to lampreys. Others argue that it was not a vertebrate at all. That uncertainty makes the Tully monster especially fascinating. We know where it lived. We know when it lived. We have thousands of fossils. But decades after its discovery, we still cannot confidently place it on the tree of life. Some prehistoric animals are strange because of how they looked. The Tully monster is strange because we still do not know what it was. When the first fossil of Atopodentatus was discovered, scientists believed its face pointed downward like the beak of a flamingo. That reconstruction was already strange. Then more complete fossils revealed that the truth was even stranger. Atopodentatus had a broad, hammer-shaped head. Along the front of its jaws were chisel-like teeth. Behind them were rows of thin, needle-shaped teeth forming a natural filter. This was not the mouth of a predator. It was an underwater harvesting machine. Atopodentatus lived around 242 million years ago in the shallow seas of what is now China. It probably pressed its head against rocks, scraped algae loose, then filtered the plant material through the finer teeth farther back in its mouth. It is considered the earliest known herbivorous marine reptile. While other reptiles hunted fish, Atopodentatus had evolved one of the most specialized plant-eating mouths in prehistory. It looked impossible, but its bizarre face was perfectly suited to its way of life. From a distance, Tanystropheus looked as though someone had stretched the wrong part of its body. Its neck was almost 3 times as long as its torso. Some species reached around 6 meters in length, with much of that measurement belonging to the neck alone. For decades, scientists debated how such an animal lived. Was it a land reptile? Did it stand on shore and fish? Or did it spend most of its life in water? Studies of its skull suggest that larger species were aquatic ambush predators. Their teeth were curved for gripping slippery prey, while the nostrils sat high on the snout. Tanystropheus may have waded quietly in coastal water before directing its small head toward passing fish or squid. Its neck was long, but probably not extremely flexible. The elongated bones would have made it comparatively stiff. This was not a reptile swinging its head wildly through the water. It may have behaved more like a living fishing spear. The small head could approach prey before the rest of the predator became obvious. Its body looked unbalanced, but in the water, that impossible neck may have been its greatest advantage. At first glance, Stethacanthus looked like a small prehistoric shark. Then you noticed the structure on its back. Mature males carried a strange dorsal formation shaped somewhat like an anvil or an old-fashioned ironing board. Its surface was covered in enlarged, tooth-like scales. Similar rough structures also appeared across part of the head. Stethacanthus lived more than 300 million years ago and was not a gigantic predator. Many individuals were less than a meter long, yet its bizarre dorsal structure made it one of the most recognizable shark relatives in the fossil record. Scientists are still uncertain about its exact purpose. It may have helped males display to potential mates. It may have allowed members of the species to recognize one another. It could also have played a role in defense or mating behavior. Whatever its purpose, it was not shaped like an ordinary fin. It was an elaborate display structure. Long before deer carried antlers or birds displayed bright feathers, this small shark relative was already proving that evolution did not only create weapons, sometimes it created signals, and sometimes it placed an ironing board on the back of a shark. Most gliding animals spread a membrane between their front and rear limbs. Sharovipteryx did something completely different. This small reptile lived around 225 million years ago in what is now Kyrgyzstan. It had extremely long hind limbs connected by a triangular membrane. Instead of carrying its main flight surface near the front of its body, Sharovipteryx carried it behind itself. In the air, it may have resembled a paper dart flying backwards. Scientists believe the unusual membrane allowed it to glide between trees, although exactly how it controlled itself remains uncertain. Some reconstructions show a smaller membrane near the forelimbs that may have helped with steering. Only one clear specimen is known. So much about the animal remains mysterious, but the fossil shows that Sharovipteryx was experimenting with the air long before birds appeared. It did not fly like a bird. It did not glide like a modern flying squirrel. It turned its hind legs into a triangular wing and launched itself into the Triassic sky. The final creature did not have 5 eyes, a hammer-shaped mouth, or wings attached to its legs. Its strangeness came from its proportions. Cotylorhynchus was a large plant-eating synapsid that lived during the early Permian, long before dinosaurs appeared. It had a massive, barrel-shaped body supported by thick limbs. Its torso was built to hold an enormous digestive system capable of breaking down tough vegetation. But at the end of its short neck sat an absurdly small head. The contrast was extreme. Cotylorhynchus looked like the body of a rhinoceros attached to the skull of a much smaller animal. Its teeth cropped plants, while its giant torso probably housed the digestive system needed to extract energy from fibrous food. The animal belonged to the broader synapsid lineage, the evolutionary branch that would eventually include mammals. Its proportions may look comical today, but around 280 million years ago, Cotylorhynchus represented something important. It was one of the earliest large-bodied herbivores to dominate life on land. What looks like an evolutionary mistake may actually have been a breakthrough. These creatures look impossible because the modern world has trained us to expect familiar shapes. 2 eyes, balanced limbs, a mouth where a mouth should be, wings near the front of the body. But evolution does not care whether an animal looks sensible to us. It only matters whether that animal can survive. A 5-eyed swimmer helped reveal the origins of arthropods. A reptile with a hammer-shaped mouth became an underwater herbivore. A tiny-headed giant transformed tough plants into enough energy to support an enormous body. And an animal so strange that scientists placed it upside down still preserved important clues about life's distant past. The fossil record is filled with designs that vanished forever. Not because they were imaginary, but because Earth once allowed possibilities that no longer exist. The past is far stranger than we think, and this is only one chapter. Subscribe and join the community as we unveil the mysteries of our past.